Yes.
Welcome, Millennials, to episode 2 of Boost Friend Fridays. I'm so excited for our second guest. I have known this Lumineer for quite some time, and I'm so excited to go through our story of how we met. They are an amazing member of this Disney Lorcana community. You know them as Sarah, aka Lorcana Librarian. Sarah is a mom and a wife. She and her husband Eli both play Disney Lorcana. Sarah is also a judge for Disney Lorcana and a fellow Disney fan, huge Disneyland trivia buff, and manager to Team Maelstrom. So let's give a big welcome to Sarah. Thank you so much for being here.
I'm gonna give myself a round of applause.
Love it. All right. So with Boost Friend Fridays, I love all the people in this community. I want to highlight them. I want to shout it from the rooftops. We have such an amazing amount of people here, either socially, competitively, whatever you name it. We have a good group of people, and I couldn't think of a better way to highlight said people than doing this fun series. And you are always at the very tippy top of my list. You have made such an impact in my journey with Disney Lorcana, and let's just kind of get into that one, right? So how did we meet? Spoiler, kind of, not really. We're already talking about it. So there was, just to give a bit of background, I think we all know Rebecca Quest. She had made a video. She had asked a lot of us, women specifically who lore, to do a quick snippet of our favorite Disney Lorcana card, I believe it was. And then we would pass it on to the next Lady Lumineer. And we were both on it. And funny enough, that was actually my first ever, official collab. I think I was only a week into Missy Enchanted, by the way. And I was like, oh my God, I got to get in on this. I have to. And so I messaged Rebecca, and she was super sweet. And she's like, yeah, you got time. You're good. Fast forward to the Chicago DLC. I believe we were getting ready for the day. We're just kind of all chilling around. And someone comes up to me and they're like, hey, I recognize you from the Ladies Who Lore video. And of course, it was Sarah. And Sarah was judging Chicago. And that is officially how we met. And as it's very simple to say, but I think I've told you this, Sarah, but I'll tell the audience, that meant so much to me, because to be recognized. Like, here I am just creating content for myself, really didn't think anything of it. And I have someone whom I've never met, never interacted with. And for you to come up and be like, I recognize you. I know who you are. You're important. Like, important in the sense that, like, individually, right? We're all important in this community. It was so special. I remembered it for the rest of the day. I still remember it, obviously. And it really put me in a good mood for Chicago. So thank you. I think little things like that really do hold impact and weight in this community, right? And it's something simple as that, as saying, hey, great job on, your content, or I love what you do, or hey, even just introducing yourself, right? I think is so important. So Sarah, the rest is history, right? We kind of interacted throughout the remainder of the weekend, right? Fun story, at the end of DLC Chicago, my husband and I go to the restaurant in the hotel, and there's Sarah again. And every time Sarah saw me, it was always, hey, Missy. And I guess she had like extra fries or something. She's like, hey, do you want that?
Yeah, we were playing Pack Rush. Me and a bunch of the judges were all playing Pack Rush together. We just were like, everybody ordered a bunch of stuff, and I had ordered fries. And by the time they came, I was like, no way anyone's eating these. So I was like, do you guys want fries? Send them over to you and Steve. You're just like, okay, are you sure?
They were the first thing I had since breakfast that day, right? And
wow,
we were
perfect.
We were fresh off
meant for you.
Hustling for that Cinderella Stout-Hearted Mac. So those fries were very much welcome as we waited for our food to eventually come. So, wow, what a whirlwind.
Yeah.
And then, we kept seeing each other at other DLCs, right? And then I think we didn't like officially hang out, because we had to keep it professional, right? You had to remain, unbiased.
It was in my service animal mode where I wasn't allowed to be pet. Yeah, at one point I was like, "Come here, we're doing a content creator photo," and just like pulled you
Yes.
over. They were like, "What is happening?"
What is
And I'm like,
happening?
"I don't know. You're a
Yep.
content creator. Let's go."
So we would chat here and there. I think Seattle was probably one of the biggest, like, discussions and time that we spent together. But we didn't like hang, hang when you were on, you're like off the clock until Continentals, I believe. And
Oh
that's
yeah.
when we did our, us in a group, small group. Actually, no, it was the maximum amount of people. We did the Disneyland VIP tour. And I know, speaking for both of us, that's been a bucket list item. And shout out to Philander. Okay, maybe we'll tag him and he'll see this. The best VIP tour guide ever. It was magical. I know that for both of us, it was not even so much going on the attractions. It was give me all the Disney lore, right? Give me all the trivia.
Yeah.
And it was just so fun because I know we went into this thinking, oh yeah, we're going to create content. We took a few photos here and there, but I appreciated that it was just me time, right? It was, let's chill, let's connect. I remember we had a really good hanging out conversation on the train, the Disneyland train or railroad. And yeah, it's fun to connect, right, with people that first virtually, then now get to know them. And yeah, I think after
Learning
that,
SEA facts is the best way to bond.
I think
in Adventureland.
Yep. So very much became friends through these experiences and in just different moments in Disney Lorcana, and who would have thought, right, us being the age that we are, having more friends now. At least I could say this, I have more friends now than I ever did in high school, right? So it's just outstanding and amazing to have so many people that I can call a friend and share in this experience. All right, so let's get down to some business here. Let's talk about
get down to business
to defeat these questions. All right, we're going to talk about, of course, your involvement in the community, hence this whole series. And I want to talk first about and I know I've heard your story, but I want to reiterate because I think it's really important for whom I believe this audience is, and that's your first experiences in trying to get into the social aspect of Disney Lorcana. So obviously we'll pass the hey. Obviously we play. Obviously we like Disney, right? So let's just kind of get into talk to me about, what that looks like for you. I know I had already expressed kind of like my anxieties with it. My first experience, it was not a really good one. And then I know you had a few of your hesitations when it came to actually stepping into a store. So kind of walk us through that again, and hopefully others will maybe relate and understand.
Way back in time, right? Way back in time, when the game was introduced, my partner Eli was like, hey, you would probably like this game, Disney TCG. So backstory on that is our entire relationship, we've been together over 20 years. And in that time, they were like very adamant in trying to get me to play a TCG with them. And we've tried different things through the years, like My Little Pony, all those kind of things. I played Magic back in the day with I was in grad school, and my group try to like get me to play with them and like bribe me with a Sarah Angel deck in the year 2000s. That was my minimal introduction to TCGs. I didn't really play much after that, and I was kind of like, the art's weird, it seems aggro, like you're mad at each other, I just don't want to do it. But then when I saw the art on the cards, I was like, okay, this I can give a try. Then we played against each other for the first time with our starter decks, and I did something, and I think I was going to play a card or play a character, play an item, something like that. And during my turn, Eli is like, nope, because of this, and try to answer my card. And I cried, and I didn't like it. And I went to Facebook, and I went to one of the Lorcana groups with the rules, and I was like, is he allowed to do this? They're like, that person's horrible. No, they don't understand the game at all. And I was like, you're horrible. See, read here. The internet, who's always right at that, telling who's horrible. And so I was like, oh no, I don't want to play this game at all. But I got really into the rules side of things. And Eli had a sizable collection of Magic Judge promos that we were able to turn into our first chapter collection. So when it was really hard for people to get product and stuff, we were swimming in it. It was funny, like at locals, people were like, I need this foil. I'm like, I bet I have it. They're like, the first chapter foil? And I was like, yeah. And they're like, whatever. And I was like, okay, I guess whatever. Like, I have all of them. And they're like, you have all the foils from first chapter. I was like,
Wow.
yeah. And this is like the end of September. And they're just like, what?
Wow.
No, you don't. And I was like, but I do. You know what I mean? No enchanteds, of course, but like could not get one to save my life. But yeah, we had, what I'm finding out was a lot of product. And part of the what we were running into is we started running out of the ability to buy product because we would go to stores and they would be like, yeah, we have product, but you have to play in our league. You have to play in league to be able to buy a full booster box or buy a trove or whatever. If you want to buy packs, fine. But if you want anything more than that, you have to come to league. And they're like, okay, fine. I need product. Give it to me. So we sign up for like going to this league. I look on, again, Facebook, find a Facebook group that's talking about like Oregon, spoiler, I live in Oregon, but like organized play. And I'm asking around. I'm like, where's a good place? And this guy Jordan at this place, at the local place, is like, hey, my store is really, welcome and opening. Because I was like, I am deathly afraid. I have horrible social anxiety, and my husband made me cry, and I don't want that again with a stranger. Right? I was like, I don't. Even though now I figured out how to play the game, I'm still like, I don't like it. So literally, we figure out, okay, we're gonna go to this store. And I'd never been to it before, so we have to drive past it. And then a week later, we can park there and kind of look at it. And then a little later, I can go in and almost get inside the door and then be like, I don't want to be in there. They're scary, and run away. Then I can get inside and kind of look around at the games and look around and see what's going on. Yeah. And then we got to like where it was actually league night, and I couldn't like go in there, run away. But I would kind of look in and be like, okay, that's what they look like. Beards, hats, backpacks, cool. Like, I don't belong here. So I eventually got brave. It was January, and I had started this adventure in September. Yeah. And I actually got in and sat down with my Floodborn dwarf deck, and I was all excited, and I had changed out some of the cards, and I had made a video because I was doing content this whole time, and I made a video of like, here's how you could like make this deck better because the way it came is like not as good and all these things. And I go and I sit down and I play this person. As soon as I get there, as soon as I walk in, this guy's like, do you want to play? Come on, let's go. I find out it's prizing night, and these people are trying to get the rest of their points, so they're like really about it. I don't realize that that's not always like this. And I'm like, oh God, like if you're like, come on, let's play. And I was like, well, I need to just like warm up first. Like, no, you don't. Let's just play. And I'm like, Eli's in the bathroom. So I'm like, but where's my emotional support human? And I was like, okay, sure, let's play. And we play, and he starts playing. He's got an enchanted Tinkerbell, and I'm like, what is life? And I'm like, you have an enchanted, and you're playing with it? Like, I am out of my element. Yeah. I'm looking around. There's no other females in the room. I'm like, I don't like it here. I was like, I don't know what's happening. And he was like doing the flicking of the cards, in between, like waiting for me to like, yeah. And I play. And I'll never forget. I play the caterpillar, okay? I play the caterpillar. The sapphire caterpillar. You don't remember it. Yep. You don't know what I'm talking about. Yep. Why would you? This card's ridiculous, right? I play, and he's like, what are you doing? Why would you play that? He literally was like, why would you play that? And I was like, he quests for 3. Yeah. And he's like, just destroys it. And I'm like, I don't know how to play Lorcana. Why did I show up? But I kept going. I found out there was pins, and got very excited for that. I was like, oh, not only can we buy product, but there's pins. Yeah. So that I can conquer my social anxiety for pins. I am a huge pin collector. Yeah. So I started going and braving these folks. And so when it came to when Rebecca was like, hey, I'm putting ladies who lore together, we're passing this card. Please be a part of it. And I was like, absolutely. I'm going to pass Giant Tinkerbell.
Yes. Oh, what is... Oh, that's
and it is an inside joke of like that first time when I was like, why am I here? I mean, I do love the card. I love the art of the card. And I was a huge Sapphire Steel player where you just like do that and the grab your sword and do a board wipe and all the things. But secretly too, it's just like when that Enchanted Tinkerbell, like he ended up being one of my best friends. He turned out to be a judge at one of the DLCs and stuff, and and because I like gave him a recommendation to be a judge and whatnot. But it's hilarious now looking back of like how out of like they were all just Magic players that were like there to switch over to this new thing that was like getting a lot of good press and had good pricing, and I was like, oh man, they're not here because they love Disney like I do.
Yeah.
And I would be like, I just like Disney. Like, well, we all do. And I'm like, no, like, I don't think you like it like I do.
Like, I really do.
Yeah, I'm like, have you been to Disneyland like 1,000 times? Like 1,000 times. Like, no exaggeration. At least 1,000 times. Because when I lived down there, it was like a couple times a week, and yeah. So I was like, but I just wanted to come and dress up in my lounge fly that matched my deck, and I thought that was going to be a thing. And I was like, I'm super competitive now, and I see it, I was like, that's not a thing. That's silly, but it's still fun. It's still fun. But that's my origin story.
Wow.
Of of like, so yeah, I was always talking to Rebecca like, how can we get more women involved? How do we? And so yeah, when she had that video, I went through every single person that was in the video and followed them and started following their content and stuff like that, because I was like, these are my people, right? These are the people we fell in love with the game because of the theme and the Disney feels and being able to go to locals and doing that. And then, so yeah, going to judge in Chicago was terrifying as a female and as someone who was like new to the TCG world, competitive TCG world. I mean, I'd seen glimmers of it, but I'd just not really been in part of it. Yeah. So that's why I took the time to know that my role was customer service. And part of that was I going into that TCG and feeling that kind of like, oh dear God, this room was huge. We had 2,000, what? Chicago, no, was like 1048, right? 1,048, yeah. But I mean, that was going from set champs that was like 40 something people to that was like a huge, and I knew that I wasn't the only one that was feeling like, oh my God. So yeah, just trying to like go around and be like the little cheerleader of like, I'm not biased, but I'm rooting for you. You know what I mean? When I go through like all the people that were there, like Tiny Lord, all these people that I'd seen in the video, and then there they were sitting and playing, and I was like, oh, we got this, I really wanted to see a woman up there getting a golden Mickey, so
it's gonna happen.
And now we did almost.
We did here. So I know, shout out to Monica from Lorcana Duo. I couldn't have been prouder to hear that she just kept doing so well. Everyone else who has been doing great and representing the female and marginalized gender community, I mean, keep it up. So we went from a bit of a anxiety and even stepping through the door, having a very interesting first opponent experience, to now competitive, but also can be social player, and now even judging. I mean, I think that's an amazing story. So thank you for being an example to hopefully others who are still kind of teeter-tottering into wanting to play the game, outside of their comfort, right? Like,
gosh, yeah.
Like we do it at home, and we get to know like our spouses or our family's decks and things like that. But if you ever want to get into other exposures and go into your local store, definitely encourage, try it at least once. If it's not for you, maybe come back to it a bit later. But we talked a bit in terms of the female community, right? This is, I truly believe, if I'm correct, the first or the largest TCG that has a female base, right? So obviously Pokemon and other TCGs have female players, but I'm pretty sure because of the IP being Disney, we see a lot more diversity in this game, and I think that's amazing. Statistically, of course, we are still outnumbered from the male aspect of it, but it is so refreshing to see the diversity kind of look better within this community. So kind of flowing into Love to Lore, right? It is a community for marginalized gender to feel safe and be heard and engage and just do all the things Disney Lorcana. And you were a founding organizer. So tell me a little bit, or just kind of walk through how that all started, what was the need for it, and just really just kind of like the first few stages of Love to Lore and kind of what that's been about for this community.
So when we did the Pass the Card video, I told Rebecca, I was like, when I started finding all the other people in the video and doing this, I was like, we need to make like a group chat on Instagram where we can put all the people that are in the video, and then that way we can like collaborate with each other and like amplify each other's videos that we do, like when we do reels and things like that, and try to empower each other, and also support each other.
Yep.
And make you, because it feels very alien. You feel very much on an island. You feel alone a lot of the time. And so I just thought like that would be great. She was like, oh, well, we're, at the time I wasn't really active on Twitter, still not. And I guess Twitter had the same group of people who are doing something similar in terms of like, hey, we should get together. We should have a group. And they were like, let's make a Discord. And so Rebecca was like, hey, you should be a part of this. Ask them to like loop me in. And basically I got put in as one of like the founding organizers, because there was like basically two groups that hadn't come together because we're doing content on two different platforms that were kind of like radically different in terms of how we like present information, right? On Instagram is mainly like reels and memes and things like that. Twitter is like actual like text based, but it is like more of a live conversation that's happening in real time. So it was very different in terms of like two different spheres of people that hadn't had a lot of interaction, that then when we got together on the Discord could then kind of like mobilize and create this like space for people. There were people that had never gone to a DLC, so they stayed home and they were kind of like from home base, like gathering like people to come to the Discord and whatnot, and doing a lot of the community management that way. And then the folks of us that were like going to the DLCs and like pushing people to be on that Discord of like, whenever you would be playing with a marginalized gender, you would just be like, hey, did you know that this, resource existed? And then that way we had a space where people were using the webcam feature to then play against each other in a safe space, where on some of the other servers, when it's like a mixed gender, you kind of can fall victim to unsavory folks, bad actors that are making that space not comfortable. But also, nothing against the guy that I played against with the Enchanted Tink. He's a lovely dude. Like, we are friends now, but it is just something extra anxiety inducing when you just don't know. And so it's just like, it's just a safer space where you're just kind of like all on common ground. And that alone gave people like the empowerment to then practice more, get more reps in. And that would give you more of an equality against other people that had more opportunity and less anxiety on like playing on the other spaces and getting those reps in. Or even when you do, you're not like necessarily taken seriously. I know there's been people that I talk to that are competitive players that are females that are like kind of pushed out of circles and not really a part of the conversation, even as a female. I saw, unfortunately, even after Milwaukee, people being like, oh, this meta sucks. You can tell because a woman and a child made it to the top. Things like that just makes you feel like you're not welcome in the space. Like, and the woman at the top has been playing since set one competitively, puts in the hours, puts in the reps, puts in the same amount of like stuff. It comes from other TCGs. So it's just not fair to just like automatically be like, this is a discount.
Right.
And so, just having that space where you felt like you belonged and you weren't fighting to belong, just that, lowering that effective filter makes your ability to learn the game so much effective, right? Because then you're not fighting against these other things and your brain isn't doing double duty.
Absolutely. Yeah. And honestly, I'm part of the Discord, and I really wish it had been, kind of created a little sooner. Obviously, when we had started initially, but we knew we had to start somewhere, right? In terms of when this became a thing. Because to your experience, everybody I played in my first time in a store was all men, and I lost every time. And I'm playing the cutesy stuff, and they're just like, no, get rid of it. So it's great to have a place to escape to, or however, and have everybody in that community be supportive. And I know Love to Lore has done tournaments within their community members and things like that to make you feel, like you can be comfortable to play competitively, and the encouragement to get better. And there's, play test rooms and things like that. It's just a great group of Illumineers, right, who are all there for a common goal, right? We love the game, whether we collect it, whether we casually play, socially play, we have every level and walks of life in that community. So shout out to Love to Lore. Thank you for everyone who's in that community and anyone who's been involved in lore. And then you had mentioned judging. So as far as that, I know it takes a certain individual, certain personality. We all know that not everybody can judge and not everybody wants to judge, right? But I love the fact that you fell in love with the rules aspect of it, right?
Yeah.
And
It saved me. Yeah. It made me want to keep playing the game. Like having the rules community there. It probably very much was Googly who was like, that guy's a jerk. That's not how you play Lorcana. I'm just like, man, he's not a jerk, but I get it. But it was funny, like nobody had that, and I was like, this guy that I was playing, they had no idea that it was this guy. Was actually like, I live with this guy. Yeah, and so I mean, it takes a special personality to want to memorize 3 documents over 30 pages long each. Well, like the correction guide, I believe to be like 15-ish, at least on that one. But the other 2 are pretty hefty documents. And that's the comprehensive document, right? Yes. Comprehensive rules. That's not all there is. There's a tournament rules, and those are different than the comprehensive rules. And sometimes folks find that hard to believe, and they find out at the tournament that that other document exists. Yep. And then the third one is the correction guide, also one that they're surprised to learn exists, because they're like, well, then this should be a DQ, and I'm like, well, in the correction guide it actually says that this is a warning, and here's why. And they're like, oh, that exists, I didn't know. If anything, the number one document you should familiarize yourself with is the correction guide, because then you know what the punishment for breaking the rules is for you. So if nothing else, know what the bad stuff is, or they're gonna be like, hey, deck registration, minor versus major. That's kind of fun, right? Or how that can escalate into a DQ. You know what I mean? Yeah, because I had an incident where they played, they were done with the match, they went to put their deck away, and there was 1 card left in their deck box, and he started crying because he thought he had just lost the whole thing. And I was like, no, dude, that's just like a warning. It was like deck registration minor. Like, you're fine. His brother literally fell to the ground and started crying as well, like from the spectators, because it was like top cut, and he was like, no, such a, and I was like, no, everything's good.
Wow.
His opponent was like, oh, I could have got it on I was like, on a technicality, like you literally lost the match, like but it's little things like that where I was like, yeah, you have to spend time familiarizing yourself with those. They'll update, regularly, so you have to keep up with that, and also want to be on the Discord, because then there's a lot of clarification where it seems like it's one way, but it's not really, and so you get like the benefit of like talking to all these people that are just also crazy about reading rules documents. So, and they don't pay you for any of that ahead of time, right? And you have to learn all that before you show up. So yeah, it's a special kind of nerd to like to analyze analytical documents and make sure you understand how the bag works and triggers and all these things. I don't know, but yeah,
very thankful for you guys. I know that
we're silly.
The competitive aspect of it, it is a lot to remember, and even judges, and I appreciate this because coming from someone with an HR background, we may know of the policy, but we always want to go back to that black and white and just confirm, right? You have that understanding, but you just want to make sure we are doing right by those rules and policies. And, I can't even count on my hands how many times there's been a situation where my opponent was like, oh no, that's the rule. Let's get a judge involved, because something's not, this isn't passing the sniff test, right? And it's so important that we have them, and those who have volunteered to do these things and half the time you don't get paid for it. It's so important, and I'm so thankful for that, because we'll never in a competitive setting have people more than likely be honest, right? Fully.
There's angle shooters. Yep.
So appreciate that, and for those of you who are unsure, just call a judge, right? Always call a judge.
Yeah, that's what we're there for. We're so bored. Like, we love to hear it. We love to hear it. We all look. We're like, who's getting it? Who gets to actually not just stand here? Like, it makes time go by. Like, it's great. I love it. Don't be scared. And we're not there to be mad at you or get you in trouble or any of that. And I think that, like, I judged the CCQ in Tacoma on October 31st. The rules updated October 31st. So that morning of, I had to be like, oh, let's read all this and make sure nothing applies and changes right now, today. And I was like, thanks for updating the rules on a CCQ day, guys. They're the best. Feel that. Yeah. I was like, why? But fine. I'd rather do it, find out now than in the middle of the match. I'm like, well, you knew the rule yesterday. You would think you were up to date. You woke up to judge this, but no, you better check the day you wake up to judge. It could have changed. Yeah. So, and set to set, new interactions come out, the boost mechanic, all these different things where we had to make sure we kind of like run through different scenarios. If they do this, will that break? If we do that, is that, before an event, to make sure we know how to handle anything that can happen. When the Pete rule came out, when that Pete card came out, we were running like, how do we rewind every single action that people are going to accidentally take, and then we have to undo. I literally put on my social media, like, do not talk to me about Pete. Like, I cannot. I am done.
I'm guilty of that.
Where I literally had a slide on my stories where I was like, I need 24 hours of like no Pete talk, because I am Pete now, where I'm like, whistle, no more. Like, I don't know how that works. I don't know. And then we come into things where like, there is no answer. Great. Now we need new rules. Thank you.
Yeah. When Pete came out, I think is, at least for me, when I fully kind of appreciated and understood Disney Lorcana rules are not meant to be gotchas, right? When you play the game, there shouldn't be a gotcha moment. And I think Pete was very much that like underlying character that kind of introduced that concept very publicly, right? Like, I'm pretty sure the devs always had that idea, but I think that was like the first time we as players were like, oh yeah, this is definitely the spirit of the game. And I think that's the right mentality. But I remember your post about Pete, and it was what we were rolling into a DLC down the line, and it was like, well, this is going to be the most special DLC,
and that's why I was like 2,000 people are going to want to rewind Pete actions. I cannot wait. In the Bucky era, I was like, help us. Help us.
Now, do you have a highlight, or, from being a judge, that you're like, you know what, this is why I judge, or this is, my funniest moment as a judge? Anything that kind of comes to mind from judging the Lorcana?
So I was competing at Geek Fest in Tacoma, and their judge staff was phenomenal. They were dealt quite an event where they were on the ice. I don't know if you guys remember this story, where we were on an ice rink, and then they put plywood on top of the ice, but they didn't turn off the cooler to the ice, so it created condensation, and the ground was wet, and you can put your stuff on the floor, like your bags or whatever. You had to hold it in your lap, and then like the tents that were made from the tablecloths exacerbated it. So in your feet was like a puddle, and it was freezing, and everyone was really upset. Like, you could not drop a card on the floor because it would get soaked. Like, you could not. Right. It was like, it was an extra layer of anxiety playing a tournament that you just don't, you're like, what if the floor was wet? So yeah, in July, it was freezing. So this judge staff was so good at like customer service, but also like knowing their stuff and like just being on top of it. It was one of like the first official events. So we were like competing for uncut sheets and all this stuff. So it felt like a big deal. And their judge staff was so good that there was a few judges that I was like, you guys have got to be like judges in like the DLCs and stuff, because like the DLCs need you, because your ability to have like a chaotic, out of left field, didn't plan for, you don't plan, zero way any judge on the planet is planning for, but what if it's a puddle and your feet are frozen? What if that, what if someone drops a card in a puddle? What's the judge call there? It's not what you planned for. And I was like, no, you guys like are good at this. You need to do it. So fast forward to Milwaukee, and I was walking around the floor of Milwaukee, just hanging out because I didn't work that event. And one of them walked by and he said, I'm here because of you. Aww. Literally. And I was like, that's so sick, because I was like, here's the application, here's the discords you need to be in, here's the the stuff about the judge community, like inserting these people into the places they need to be in, like the rule hub, right? Lorcana Rule Hub is a Discord. If you're not on it, you have to be, because that's where all of the rule questions go down. But yeah, it's just like all of these things where like here's the pastimes Discord, here's the SCG, con Discord, to like get them plugged into judging events, Laughing Dragon, all these different ones. So yeah, so like that for me, it was like getting more people in the community involved, especially ones that are like highly skilled and belong there. Not that everyone doesn't belong there, but you know what I mean? Like these, like this guy, I was just like, I want him to be my judge. You know what I mean? So for me, just to see that people were like willing to take that plunge.
Mm-hmm.
I think people might think, because it's such a, like, you have to memorize all these things and it feels authoritative, like judge, it's one of the more welcoming spokes of the Lorcana community for me. They're willing to teach you from the ground up how to be a judge. And just help you out while you're judging, and just afterward, just being your mentor. Everyone's so welcoming, and is the most like diverse community too. Very, very, very open to anyone who wants to just come and learn to be a judge. So yeah, and I think that's what people are like, oh, I can't be a DLC judge. I was like, you can. I was like, you've judged this Geek Fest, you 100% can. You know what I mean? And they just don't realize that like you really can hit the ground running and do it, as long as you like learn the rules, you understand like the basis, and like everyone in the Discord will help you to get to be there. So yeah, it's been phenomenal.
Good. Now on that note, for those who maybe are interested in being a judge, or for us who play competitively, what's something that we may not know about being a judge, or maybe something you want to kind of like dispel, right? Or like rumors or just misconceptions about being a judge.
Being a judge, what I didn't realize, has so many different facets of the job.
Sure.
Once you're actually actively in it, you see there's like the people who take care of the beginning of the round, the people who take care of the end of the round, the people who do the deck checks, the people who do the appeals, the people like the head judge versus the deputy head judge versus a floor judge, and all these different facets of it. And so there's like different ways to like, when you enter, it's very entry level, that you can like build yourself up. And there's been some people, I want to shout out Blaylock. Adam Blaylock has been a huge like resource and asset in being able to identify people who they have like a spark and like a real natural talent for judging, and then giving you all the different facets of that job each time that you work with him, so that he can like holistically get you to that point, and then every time just like meet with you afterwards and be like, here's how you did, like what do you see, you know what I mean? And like letting you analyze it, and instead of kind of dictating to you. You know what I mean? Like when he had me doing end around, he just was like, here were your end around times. Like, what do you see here? Like, do you see a pattern, and all these different things and stuff like that you can really, then you get the chance to internalize, And so he's really good at taking people and making them feel empowered. They don't feel like someone taught them to be a judge as much as they learned to be a judge. You know what I mean? And so I think like that's something I didn't really realize, is that it's not an all or nothing. You don't come in knowing to be a judge, and if you don't, you don't. You know what I mean? It is a learning process, and you become a better and better judge. And that what makes a head judge versus a floor judge, like the difference there, and the difference in experience, and the difference in being able to look at the event holistically and know, like, there's a way as a head judge that you can go against the rules if it is what the tournament needs, right? And so to be able to even make that kind of a judgment call, like the experience and like the insight that you gain, like every event, you know what I mean? Doing things in a different job. Like I wish I had done that more. The first season, I really was doing like all deck checks pretty much the entire time. And it wasn't until I started working on like different CCQs and other smaller events with Blaylock that he started putting me into like different functions, so that I could start to like holistically gain like, and then I got to be like deputy head judge for the CCQ. So you know what I mean? Like it gets to be, you grow into that, and then you do see, like, I was not ready to be a deputy head judge first season. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Well, thank you. I think that's a really good example. And I appreciate that there is that human aspect. So there are rules, we get it. But not everything is laid out, on black and white. Sometimes we do have to think about, is this the right decision for the current moment? And sometimes past precedents really will not help with that. So I appreciate that. And I think that's very important for competitive players to understand. hey, the judges really are here for the betterment of the board state, right? We're here to
Yeah.
make sure that your experience in playing this game is a good one, and the right outcome, or at least the best outcome for the situation and the call, is being made. So I appreciate that, and I think that's a really good call out in terms of, hey, we're humans at the end of the day. We want to give it that human touch. Sometimes it's not best size fits all. So thank you for that. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Now we're going to fast forward to content creation. So your journey in content creation has been since basically your introduction with Disney Lorcana, correct?
Yeah.
All right.
That's what I thought I was just all gonna do.
You've done it all.
Yeah. I was like, I'm just gonna do content.
Yep. Well, obviously, you've been, again, someone very, monumental in just my journey with content creation as well. I do consider you a SME in content creation. I know quite a lot of us in the content creation community do as well. I mean, you even had a kind of masterclass on content creating for us earlier this year. And I learned a lot. I think no matter how long you've been doing things in a professional space, content creation or otherwise, there's always things you're going to learn, right? A certain skill, anything that can be transferable. So even those who maybe want to get into content creation, I'm pretty sure there's some life experiences or things that you have that are transferable to content creation. But nonetheless, Sarah, I appreciate that class. I took very copious notes. In fact, I have you in the back of my mind when I create content. Sometimes I'm like, nope, that's not proper nomenclature, or nope, that's not good. I need to say the full brand name and things like that, and certain little things that would probably drive people nuts, right? Sometimes, but hey, we got to do it, especially if we want to properly represent the brand, right? So what would you say are, let's say, three things that people should keep in mind if you want to be successful in content creation when creating content?
Yeah, three things. Yeah. Oh my gosh. So my background here is like this is basically what I do for like real
Yep.
life is like branding and like IP compliance. And so looking at that is like how for me, like from the back end, I see how they pick like influencers to get contracts and get like some of the more like juicier opportunities. And it is a lot of they look at, is this person selling the brand for us and doing it in a way that meets the requirements that the IP has? So are they using the, like you said, like the right names for things? Disney, especially with their attractions, whatever they want, like the full name of the attraction, and they want the full name of things. Universal as well, when we have things like they have their Macy's parade, so it's like Universal's holiday parade with Macy's.
Yep.
And this like has to be like just like that, right? And it's because like they spent all this time and money and research of like, this is what it needs to be named, and this is how it doesn't compete with another brand. Because if it's phrased another way, it could be competing with another brand and you don't even know. And so making sure that you're coming correct as the brand. Think of yourself as the brand. Like, what would the brand do if they were posting, and would they, let these things go? Do you have like a Pokemon mat, while you're trying to like promote Disney Lorcana? These things won't like make or break you. They won't be like, well, never will I work with this person. But if they have two people in front of them and one person is doing those things correctly and one's not, they're like, well, this person will have to take the extra time to train them on branding. So we're just going to go with the person that already has it together, right? Another thing to think about is like the consistency of your brand voice. That is like, is it something I would come to expect from you? And if I see it, do I know it on site, right? I was always doing kind of like meme style stuff, like overlay videos, or I was doing cumulative vlog style videos of like product searching or my days at League. That was it. And kind of doing like pack openings and just making sure that I was always doing the same kind of content, not just doing like, oh, I'm at Target, I'm gonna just make a Target video. Oh, I'm here, I'm gonna do this random stuff.
Right.
That way people like have a consistency of like what to expect from you. So to kind of look at what like things are just your drivers, your main courses. And then the other thing is to like make sure that you have in your mind who your ideal person is that you're posting for. Everyone's going to like your content. Everyone's going to look at it. There's people who it's not going to be for, right? But in your mind, you should be formulating it so that one person specifically is always your ideal viewer, and that you're crafting it for them. And as long as it meets, you know, their standards,
Yeah.
everyone else is just a bonus. But then if you continue hitting that like target demographic, then your content will always resonate and always get like the engagement that it needs. Because if you're doing things that you're like, oh, this is a trend, but it's not a trend that resonates with your audience, it's going to fall flat. Even if that trend is popular, it's because your algorithm it's not going to push it out to the right people.
Yep.
And it's just going to fall flat. So if you're just always in your mind's eye, if you just make it up from the beginning of like, it's this Illumineer who is a, you know, all of these different demographics, this is what the box that they fit in, and I'm always like catering to what they like and what they are going to want to watch, you always hit like the same like metrics basically, instead of being inconsistent.
Sure.
And then you get inconsistent results.
There you go. Well, thank you for that.
Yeah.
It's a lot. It's a lot to think about. You know, I think a lot of us would agree consistency is that kind of like first thing to remember. Now, people go through like rebranding and things like that. Maybe that's kind of what the direction they want to go. But at the same time, it's always going to come down to how consistent are you? And if you really want to be, you know, sponsored or supported by the actual company, always remember branding is very much number one. You are, in fact, want to represent and speak well of that company as if it were your own, as if you were being paid for it, but you're not. Or at least maybe not initially.
Yeah. You're paid for with like in opportunities or other things, right? Or just like being able to officially partner with the company, whether they pay you handsomely for that or not, it gives a signal, like a psychological signal to your followers of like your legitimacy. Yeah. And so then that like, you know, goes forward. And so while like every opportunity doesn't feel as lucrative as you'd want it to be, it needs to like build towards that reputation. The same point being, if you align yourselves with people with bad reputations, the same effect will happen. And it's hard to keep up with the PR and know, but this brand and this product and the IP has really attracted a lot of bad actors that want a lot of money or a lot of attention. And so it's hard to know like even who to align with, and like being really picky about, I think, your partnerships right now is hard because everyone's growing at a very rapid pace, and there's a lot of opportunities, but also a lot of like bad opportunities, right? And an ability to create a bad situation for yourself. Number one thing I think is get paid. I know it sounds bad. There's a lot of, it's going to be weighted, but yeah, there's a lot of opportunities going around right now that are basically, if you do it for free, then you get kind of like clout or whatever, and it's dangerous because then it sets the precedent of like, well, this other person will work for free, and a lot of people want the opportunity. So we're going to end up with bad product in terms of like casters or judges because they're worked for free, but you got what you got. But there will always be someone who's willing to work for free. So then the people who've put in the experience and are skilled aren't going to get hired for things. So it's just going to be bad for everybody, right? So yeah. I would always just make sure you're getting paid something, right? Yeah. Which, yeah, it's unfortunate to have to say that right now, but yeah, we're at this point where a lot of people are going to take advantage of like, oh, you have this opportunity for exposure, so I'm going to make you pay your way. They have the money, they have it, so they have it. Don't let them tell you they don't.
It's a lot to consider, and there is a lot of red tape and politics around it, but just understand. Who are you doing this for? And, you know, obviously you have an audience, but I'm pretty sure you want to protect yourself and do the research, you know, understand what you're going into. And like you said, there are going to be people that will want to undercut you, undermine you because they rather do it for free. And, you know, that's them kind of, I guess, going out on, you know, their morals, right? They're like, hey, I'm going to do it for free. But you know what? I get it. Everyone wants exposure. I think of it as kind of like an internship. You know, we all start somewhere.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, we want to progress. We want to do it correctly, ethically, right? And hopefully we steer in the direction of positive and community and positivity and community, right? So yeah, a lot. Just do your research. If you want to do this for any lucrative measures, just make sure you ask around, do your research, and negotiate, have proper conversations. Just protect yourself.
Yes. Cool.
Well, thank you for that. Now, And speaking of official business, you are the team manager for Maelstrom, right? That's
Yes.
got a lot of hats, I'm sure, right?
Yes.
You're all over the place, right?
All
With
of the
that.
other things are applicable there, right? The
Exactly.
content creation and the judging, yeah,
Yes.
all of that stuff. And it's very odd to go from this like running a female love to lore, marginalized gender organization, love to lore, and all these other endeavors, and then managing 8 highly competitive
Yep.
men.
Yep.
And we constantly, when we have roster changes and everything, we look at every player equally. And it's just, that's how the chips have fallen.
Yeah.
And it's just, yeah, but it is a lot of strong personalities, and I hold my own. I love those guys. They love me too. We're a huge family, and I'm so thankful for them. But it is intense to be able to be in the mix with that many
Yeah.
highly skilled players that got there because they have very strong personalities. And being able to kind of like look at them holistically and be like, well, what is your 8 individuals, but what do we as a group like put out into the public's eye, and what do they consume as the team, as a unit? And I hear people like, you guys are like the Dodgers of Lorcana and things like that. I'm like, I feel like it's getting through, you know what I mean? We're like the hometown heroes, like that kind of thing. Very approachable, like trying to like help like even things out in terms of like inequalities, or make things a comfortable space and a welcoming space for everybody. And also like the guides and stuff they do, trying to like make sure everyone like has a chance to like understand Lorcana on the same level. And we have some stuff coming out with like education series and stuff like that. And it very much is the team's like philosophy is to be able to be a welcoming space that also bridges this skill gap that's happening with like a lot of brand new people are coming to the TCG. They don't understand TCG terms. They don't understand, if I tell you X2 or whatever, like what does that mean?
Exactly.
Yeah. And so like being able to talk to them on their level and pull them up in terms of like being welcomed into the conversations in deeply competitive spaces and feeling like they belong there has been huge. Coaching all the stuff that they do with people just to like make sure that they come to these events and feel prepared, you know what I mean? And yeah, like we have meet and greets and everything where they really like want to meet everyone and talk to everyone because they just love it. They feed off that energy, and it's been really fun. But it is like a lot of like trying to get the sponsorships and trying to make sure that we're presenting ourselves properly and making sure that we're in line and ready once any sort of like official partnerships or sponsorships happens for Ravensburger or Disney or any of those things. We want to make sure that from the beginning, when they look at us, they don't have to clean us up, right? We're just ready to go.
Right.
We like all of our branding, everything doesn't, go against copyright and, all those things. Trying to make sure that we meet all those is basically my job. And it's fun. But and make sure that, we have a community manager, Speedy, who's also one of the judges that judges DLCs. And so like together we try to like make sure that they're up to date on like rules and things like that, interactions. And it's a lot.
It is a lot. Now, we talked obviously about how much it is mentally to be a content creator, and now put yourself in a team. Now, there's 3 levels, right? The brand that you play for, yourself, and then your team, right? And then you got to manage all that. So it is a lot. And, the better you do, the more your notoriety. And we know pretty much everyone on this team, right? Because they have done well, not only in this game, but in others, right? But they have chosen that, if I could speak so, this is their primary TCG, I believe, for most of them, if not all of them. And it is a lot. And I will say one of my memories with Team Maelstrom that I appreciate was, just when we talk about women and under marginalized groups, we can get, certain interactions that are not so good, and people underestimate us and basically say certain things and think that they could talk to us in certain ways. And members of your team have literally said, tap us, get us involved. We will help. Not, we're not starting any drama or anything, but it's truly like, it's kind of like they're the big brothers, right? So when
they're a safe space,
when they would come in and have conversations with us in Love to Lore, it was really a matter of, hey, how do we, get you guys better in your gameplay if that's what you want to do? But at the same time, if you ever come against any type of friction, we're here. We want to make sure this community is welcoming, and it starts with us. It starts with us who are the the professionals that have come into this game from other TCGs, right? And we want you guys to succeed. And I appreciate that. And it's putting your money where your mouth is and truly representing the community. So I appreciate that because, you know, whether it's at the individual level or not, or it's coming from you, I do appreciate that from your team and just what you guys do for.
Yeah, that's all them. They annoy me because no one knows this. No one knows this because we weren't allowed to advertise it because they were like, no, don't say anything. And I don't want it to be a whole thing. But the entire first season, they were coaching women for free, anyone who asked.
Nice.
So if you're like, I need coaching and I can't pay for it, they would give you free coaching the entire first season. Yeah. And so that's like part of what those Love to Lure things too, sessions and stuff were too. They wouldn't let me like advertise that they were doing any of this stuff, but they were, and they're just like, no, you know. But yeah, it's like just wanting to make sure that you like people didn't feel alone, right? Like you could come to them and they were there for you no matter what. And I mean, stuff has gone down at these DLCs that has been unsavory, that they have been helpful for people.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of them have significant others that play this TCG or other TCGs competitively and have all encountered issues, and so they know firsthand what we're up against. And so seeing that, they want a space where their significant others can come and feel comfortable to come play with them, play this game. And like being a competitive TCG player takes up all of your time.
Yes.
Literally all of your time. You're constantly thinking about the game, practicing the game, trying to get the cards, going to league. It like I don't do anything else. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
So like when you can get your significant other to actually play with you and be a part of that, that's huge, because like that's a lot of time that you're spending away from each other otherwise. I know you play with your significant other. Imagine if they went to Lorcana like without you all the time, like, and then that was they were going to DLCs without you because it was like horrible and you didn't feel comfortable being there and all these things. Like imagine how much time you'd be away from each other. That's wild, right? Yeah.
And there are more people that actually do that, right? They hopefully have a spouse that's supportive, right? Or someone had to maybe take a step back and say, even though I like the game, you're doing much better, so I want to support you and I'll stay home with the kids, or you know, whatever the case may be.
Every time I go to a DLC, I ask where Eli is. Like he cannot travel. If I am here, he is not here. Like we don't show up together. So he has to hold it down here for me while I'm not here. So
well, we love Eli.
Yeah, that's what it's. Yeah. Yeah, that's what it's like. So yeah, I mean, there's plenty of people that on the team that when we went to Worlds, a couple of the guys that went to Worlds, they had their family there, but they brought their family to Disney World and still barely got to see them. You know what I mean? Yeah, because you're practicing, you're playing, and like even if they get to come to the event with you, they're still not. Yeah, so to be able to play together like the way like Patrick and Monica do from Lorcana Duo and stuff, that's a gift. That's spectacular. You know what I mean?
Truly is. I'm blessed for that.
Yeah.
We have fur babies, so for us it's a little easier than other households. But if you could work it and manage it, it is a blessing to have whether you play alongside your spouse or not, the support is just it's the best thing in the world, honestly. I don't know that I would have done as much without him.
Right. But imagine if he did content too. Like that's wild. Like that's why I'm like so jealous of. Yeah,
he loathes,
man, that's so good.
He loathes the camera. You have no idea how much it is to pull teeth to get him to just like
get
your hand or your shoulder in the footage, and he's like fine.
No. He's like Vanna White, right?
Yeah.
Lorcana.
Now, let's kind of wrap this sesh with, goals, right? Particularly Disney Lorcana goals or dreams. And I understand you were able to full circle one earlier this year. Kind of walk us through that. I love hearing the story.
Yeah. So before Lorcana, I was a park content creator. So that was my original like foray into Lorcana. I was like, well, I'm just going to transition from Disney parks into Disney Lorcana. Disney parks content creation is a saturated market, to say the least. And I was like, oh, this is a great chance to like, it's a good niche. Instagram likes niche content, like where you just niche down into like one specific content type. And I was like, well, then I'll just do a Disney Lorcana account. And at the time, there was hardly anybody. When I went to go follow people, it was basically Rebecca and Citizens of Lorcana. And so, yeah, we were like in the very, very beginning of that. And the reason why I even wanted to play Lorcana or make the content was because I was going to Disneyland like once a month and I wanted people to go to Disneyland with. And I was like, well, if we get like people into Lorcana, we play Lorcana at the parks. And I was like, oh man. So when I started getting into like organized play in January, right? I went to got brave and went to go play the Tink player. And I was like, oh man, organized play, like if we could do like thematic decks at Epcot, that would be so cool. Do this like whole thing where you play, you go to Epcot. And like I had this idea of like we'd have like a whole tournament that would like take over Epcot and you go to each different world in Epcot and play a deck based on that world, right? You know, and I was like, this is gonna be so cool. And so I did. I made a post on Instagram and I'm like holding Epcot, like giving a little hug, and I'm like, I want to play Disney Lorcana at Epcot. I want to have an Epcot tournament. And then we did. We had Worlds, and when I was in Chicago, man, now I'm gonna cry. I was judging Chicago. That was the first, my first thing, and I was judging Top Cut in Chicago because Albert, the head judge, like believed in me from the very beginning. Was like, because I'm on fire when I'm working, and he was just like, yeah, you're gonna go places. So he had me judging Top Cut, and I was in there with like some of the other judges that were judging Top Cut. I was talking to one of them, Zim, and he was like, I want to be head judge for Worlds. I'm trying to get to that point, right? That was his goal. We were just talking about like goals and stuff, and we were like getting the room ready, and I was like, it would be really cool if they had nationals at Disneyland and Worlds at Disney World, right? And Albert's in there with us, and he's like, I can neither confirm nor deny that that's what's gonna happen. And I was like, oh man, if I could judge Worlds, if I could judge nationals, even like judge at Disneyland, like that would be wild. And I was just like, but yeah, what? It was like, wow. It was like, but it wasn't like solidified. We didn't like, no, you said like can either confirm or deny. That's not a thing. So, and I was just like, held out hope, but yeah, like that's what happened. Like when we had nationals at Disneyland, like I just kept remembering that conversation with Zim, that was my dream. And I got on Lumiteers and talked about how it was my dream and all this. And then to go judge nationals, like I took a picture of myself in the cast member like little mirror with the like last checks for safety and all that in the back because they let us use like the back bathroom of the cast member. Awesome. And I was like, dreams come true. Yeah, and then Worlds I didn't judge it because my players were playing it, but they were at nationals too, but there were so many others that I could recruit myself kind of thing, but this was like too small. But yeah, so it was my big dream was to have that tournament at Epcot, right? And then we had Lorcana Collectors, and they had their event where you could go play at Epcot during Worlds, and I was like, my dreams are coming true. Yeah, I during nationals, Rebecca and I, so I had always done like organization stuff with like Bats Day, different days in the park for Disneyland. Mm-hmm. And so I was like, oh, we should have a Lorcana Day. Rebecca obviously was like, oh, we should have a Lorcana Day. And so together she was like, oh, I'm doing one. We obviously have to work together on it because she knew it had been my dream all along. And so I was like, yeah. And then she obviously has like the name and the clout. And it had been her dream to have like a day like that, kind of like Nurses Day and stuff like that. So it was both of our dreams, and I was like, oh, we got to unite forces, and instead of each doing our own, you know what I mean? Like, that'd be silly. No, nobody would go to mine. They'd all just go to the cool person one. And and I was like, yeah, no. And so, yeah, she knew that, like, my heart was in it and welcomed me into the fold. And so, yeah, we have Quest in the Park, which is a great event. And then we're going to be having it again we had it for 2025 for Nationals. So during Nationals, we have to go to Disneyland with all of her friends and play Lorcana, and it was such a big dream. So new dreams, 2026, Quest in the Park, be even bigger than the first year, and maybe even be bi-coastal. I don't know. We'll see what happens, but we'll see. I mean, just having people at my favorite place in the world, which is Disneyland, playing what is now my favorite game in the world, Disney Lorcana, was just like, that's it. That's like, die happy. Dreams come true. Yeah. Logan pulled a Enchanted Scrooge. I was just like, well, we're playing Packrush and at the Golden Horseshoe, or you know what I mean? Like everything was great.
Amazing.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's so
fun. That's Yeah, it's my big dream, 2026.
There you go. There you go. Yeah, I had a great time, also in attendance, and
That's when we got to do our VIP tour.
yes, that's when we got to do our VIP tour. So it was fun because
Yeah.
everyone was like, "Wait, where have you guys been?" And we're like, "No, we've been VIP." And we,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. VIP Lorcanies.
Our priority
It's so
was
funny.
the photo.
Yeah, it's so funny because I still talk to a lot of people that we were on the VIP tour with, like Cece and Damien,
Yep.
Andrea, and oh gosh, what's his name? Eric? Yeah. So yeah, I see them all the time at events, and I'm like, oh, our VIP crew. Yeah. So it was a lot of fun. I had suggested it way ahead of time with like the content creators for nationals. I was like, oh, let's all do the thing, and they're like, no. And then for Quest in the Park, you're like, I want to do a group for VIP tour. I was like, yes, thank God. Oh,
Maybe
it's happening.
Maybe we can manifest that for Worlds. Hopefully,
oh man,
Worlds get to bounce back at Disney World, right?
Yeah.
And we can...
Well, now that we got nationals at Disneyland, it's got to be, right? I mean,
I hope
how can
so.
it not?
I hope so. But you know,
If
there's
it's not,
always
I'll
that
cry.
0.01%, right?
Well, we can still have it'll still be nearby.
Yep.
It has to be near. Like we can still do a VIP tour at Disney World. We can still do a VIP tour at Disney World. Period. So
this is true. This is true.
we don't need an excuse. I need the ears to match now. So.
My gosh, yes, the merchandise, right? It's all about the merch.
They keep coming out with more and more. Ever since we went, now there's a water bottle.
Yep.
So frustrated.
That's how they keep you coming back, right?
I was like, can I proactively come back and rebuy the stuff? No.
I'm good with my ears. I'm good with it. That's my collector piece. I'm good. Let's do Disney World. Disney World sounds like a fun one too, right? Because now you have 4 parks as opposed to 2.
Yeah. And they take you through like the back entrances to them. Yeah.
That's like real VIP. Like
that's what I'm there for. I'm like, I want to see something I've never seen.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Well, that's true because you're more Disneyland, even though you do come quite often to Disney World.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Barely. Yeah. Man.
Well, next time...
I do. I need to know. I need to know that. I need to see the utilidors.
There's a tour for that.
Yeah, I don't have to go on the VIP tour to see
Exactly.
the utilidors.
Exactly. Well, next time you're in Disney World, and I'm hopefully here and not somewhere
You're
else.
not on a cruise ship.
A cruise ship, right? Let's get together and do Illuminations Pack Rush. I would love for you to be a part of that, right? And then fulfill that other dream, going around World Showcase. So
there you go. There you go.
Well, thank you, Sarah. It has been an absolute pleasure. I greatly appreciate having you as a friend in this Disney Lorcana community. Thank you so much for being the second Boost friend at Friday.
Yay.
And for everyone else, if you liked what you see, please subscribe, give it a thumbs up, follow Sarah. Where can we find you, Sarah?
Usually on Instagram at Lorcana Librarian. But I'm going to be doing a rebrand soon.
You heard it first.
Hey, yeah. So, maybe I'll put a poll of like what the new name will be. I don't know.
Ooh, I like it.
Yeah, because I'm having a hard time like letting it go, but I gotta let it go.
I feel that.
Yeah, Lorcana branding. Don't name yourself anything that's trademarked by the actual company. It was a good idea in the beginning, and
your face is the brand, so that's the most important part, right? So whatever you bring your brand to, we will know who you are. So
yeah, I'll still be there.
Best of luck on that.
Yeah,
absolutely. Well, thank you again, guys, for joining us. Thank you, Sarah. And whatever your new username will be, we look forward to seeing it. I would love to take part in whatever poll you have.
The whole contest. We leave it up to the people.
There you go. I like it. Give them some options. We vote, and there you go. I love that. Thank you. Thank you guys for joining us on BFF Boost Friend Fridays.